Yeah, we live, dude. We live. Hi, guys. Just want to welcome you to Industry Insider. Trying to start being a little bit more professional these days with all this stuff. I'm going to just start talking right now because we're going to save this in the archives. I say it every time. But tonight we have awesome, excuse me, Industry Insider. We're going to talk with Justin Smith from Shock Therapy. He's been so busy lately, so busy. It's been crazy. So it'll be pretty neat to talk with him and see what he has going on. He's got all kinds of awesome stuff, man. He does racing, just everything. So Justin has been an industry insider for so long, and now he's got his awesome shot company. So we're going to talk a little bit about that, a little bit about racing, and we do have some other people spying on us over here. I can turn it around for you guys. Big game.
Hey, we're going live.
We live. So let's get Justin on here real quick. We're at IMG Motorsports today too. Justin, what's up, man? How are you?
Hey, man, I'm badass. Other than trying to figure out this phone deal, man. So remember, I'm old and slow.
That's all right. There you go.
I've got a background and it's like level, and you
Dude,
can't.
you're perfect.
How cool is that?
You're so official, man. Look at you, big media guy now.
You know, Chase is fired. Clearly, I don't need him for this.
Well, I actually have a question about Chase for today's little industry insider. But hey, thanks for joining us, dude. I know you've been like just slammed with work.
Yeah, we've been really busy. We're definitely very fortunate in that category. We got a hell of a crew at the shop. Believe it or not, we're up to 60 guys now, and they
Yeah, awesome.
yeah. Yeah, without
That's
the,
so cool to hear.
there's nothing we could do to keep up. There's no way we could do the kind of service that we try to supply and give people. And you haven't been to the shop lately, but we do have the new phone center set up, and we've got 10 people on the phone full time.
Really nice. I think when last time I was over there was just as you guys were setting up that new phone center. That's pretty bitching though, because that probably helps the customer service tenfold.
Yeah, that was our goal. One of the things we hear a lot is that people can't get through to us, and we had 5 or 6 people on the phone full time at that time, and they're all on the phone all day long, and people still can't get through because all the phone lines are full.
Yeah.
So doubled the staff, and we have a cool phone system now. We can see everybody who's in line and their history. If maybe they're a customer of ours from before, or if they called in a couple of times, we can see that they've done that, and so we can help them quicker. We don't have to say anyone on the phone can take over and see and help them with what they've talked to or talked about with somebody else. So you don't have to go grab that one guy and then they're on hold and they got to call you back. Doesn't work out. So
That's so cool. That's one of the things that I think is so cool about the stuff that you do. Like, for obviously you guys are good at doing shocks and stuff, but I've always been pretty impressed. Like, even the check-in stuff. Like when we got there to check in the first IQS YXZ that ever came in, you had the iPads and they were just like typing them in, getting everything checked in. So now it sounds like all that technology is rolling into the phones too.
it is, and I want a lot of maybe your listeners to know some of the stuff that we've really implemented lately. It's expensive and time consuming, but worth every single cent. The iPad system that you talked about tracks all of our customers and all their work. We can look back and see every single one of our guys who tightened a shock on that car. It could be 4 different people, but we have documented who tightened it. We have documented what spring rates went on the car and who did the work on the inside of the shock and who scheduled the appointment and who checked the person in, whether it's Steve or whether it's Mitch, and who checked them out. And we have now documentation on calling them back a week or 2 later and make sure that they like and love what they have. And it's all live. So updated easily, and it makes it a lot faster and better, I know, for the people that are calling us.
Yeah, that's cool. And plus, like, all of the repeat customers, like if I have my shocks done, I don't know, 3 years ago, then I know exactly what I want for the future, and you can just pull it up. Hey, so we got a couple questions that already came in, Justin. One of them's not pertaining to us, but they asked if we like PRP seats. Yes, we love PRP seats. So go check them out at their on their social media.
We run PRP products as well. We run PRP seats in all of our pre-runners, our race car. We run PRP also owns a couple other companies and all the ratchet straps and tie downs and limit straps, things like that. PRP is a badass place to spend your money. They're great.
Yeah. And they're a fantastic company too, family owned and all that stuff. Until let's see here. Oh, Chase logged on. So yeah, Chase, we already talked about it. You're fired, buddy. Justin's got it covered from now
Yeah,
on.
John, I got this handled, man. I don't need you behind this phone. Look, I'm even in the shot,
Yeah.
and it's not one of these. That's typically Chase's job. Down.
Exactly. All right, so we got a couple other comments that came in. Ashley Lynn said, "Hands down, the best check-in system. We had a great experience a few weeks ago."
Bitching, bitching, hearing that.
Yes. So I don't want to like I just mentioned the check-in system because that's what I dealt with that one day. But honestly, just seeing all of the technology just keep rolling and rolling, like it's so cool to see that because most of the guys that I've dealt with in motocross and shock stuff, you give them your shocks and they're like, I don't know what the hell I did last time, dude. Like, what do you want me to do now?
Yeah, we see that a lot in the industry, and honestly, with us, we had everything on paper at one point in time, and if somebody spills a Coke on the paper, that person's information's lost.
Yep.
We didn't want to be in that position after having done that a couple of times. And when you're doing race cars, a lot of times we'll do a different setup on the car every single race for testing and after the race, and with feedback we'll make changes, and you end up with 30 sheets of testing notes for one race car, and that gets overwhelming too. So now everything is documented, and every single person in the shop has a live iPad to be able to check that and know where we've been and where we're going with a certain setup and what that person's needs are. If they're even in another country, say New Zealand, we have those notes on every iPad, so it's super helpful.
Yeah, even if I were to come back and say, "Hey, will you adjust this?" You know exactly what to change or what suggestions to make. Big Air on a budget said his XX came alive after they did the gold package.
Awesome. I'm glad that you like it. You're all about to have a new system from us come in place where you're going to get called within the few days or a week of having done anything with us, just to get your feedback and make sure that you love it, and so we can make everything better for you or any other customer in the future. But
Yeah,
thank
awesome.
you for your setup.
Cody Sanders says, "What's up?" Let's see here. Dusty Summit says, "I have two questions. Number one, how does the limited supply of demand affected you in the business?" Well, I can already answer that. It really hasn't affected Justin. He has inventory for days of all the stuff he needs. And then, do you have any plans on developing your own custom shocks?
So we get that question a lot on the shock. But before I go into that, inventory. I know most companies are affected. It's hard to get a nut or a bolt these days. Even big hardware suppliers don't have things in stock. I mean, go to Home Depot, you're not going to find anything. But we have not been affected very much because we buy a lot of inventory in advance. We don't carry any credit lines. We pay for it right up front in advance because we want to have as much as possible here at all times to make sure that our customers can buy things. I mean, right now there's coil spring shortage everywhere. Um, George, you've seen we probably still have 500 pallets of springs. We might be out of one specific one, but not for very long.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
we're very proud of setting up our business plan with that in mind. But back to the shock thing. We get that question a lot. We certainly could develop our own shock. We have the ability to make them, but we're never going to do that. It is not in our plans. It's never going to be in our plans, and I'll tell you why. We have a great working relationship with every shock manufacturer. We work hand in hand with Fox. We know everybody at King. We deal with everyone at Walker Evans. We we know half the guys over at Bilstein and Elka, and name 10 other shock companies. We have the back channel phone number for them. As long as we are making their shocks better when it comes to their customers' experience and tuning them, then we are an asset to those shock companies.
100%.
Second, that we start building a shock absorber, we're competition to them. We're not going to get the same help. We're not going to get the same level of industry knowledge behind the scenes. So we would much rather be friends with everybody and service every shock that we can and have friends behind the desk at those businesses than be their enemies and get shut off. So it's a better plan for us. It's worked out so far.
Yeah. Oh, I agree 100%. Pat Martin says George is living in the PRP showroom. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm at IMG Motorsports, but there is a lot of PRP stuff, and I like the seats too. We just talked about them a little bit. Are all your spring colors silver, Justin?
Yes, all of our springs are silver. We do have our springs are warranted for life. They're also made in the USA. Every spring that we have is made in the USA. The reason we do silver, we do not offer any other colors, is because no matter how many springs that we have in stock in red, guaranteed somebody's going to want blue. So we do not do that. You can powder coat them your own color. Absolutely. It just voids our warranty because we don't know any longer that it's our spring. We don't know that the powder coater did a good job stripping them. It could have overheated them and ruined the rate. So we can't back them up once they're powder coated, but we do them ourselves at the shop. Ernie springs are gold, and half the other builds we've got color coded springs in the shop. We do it all the time. You just have to pick a really quality powder coater, and you can do it yourself.
Yep, exactly. And Chop Jaw said, "You guys are great. Thanks for Chalk Therapy for being there for all of us off-roaders. If someone buys your car, they are still covered?" Question mark. So I'm assuming that he means if someone buys somebody else's car that had the adjustments already done.
When it comes to springs, that's absolutely true. They're lifetime. So if you've got a broken spring of ours, you can send it. We'll give you a freebie. It is rare. I will be 100% honest with you. Out of the literally millions of springs that we've sold, we've had 2 ever come back with that are broken, and they've been a short spring that was possibly underrated for a heavy vehicle, and it was going to coal mines. So it was a bad setup to begin with that ever did it, but we're talking 2 out of millions. So they're lifetime no matter who owns them.
So I don't know if you'll actually be able to answer this question, but Trey Borgman, we did a show on Monday for, have you seen X Travel Suspension? They do a front suspension kit.
Yes, I have seen the X Travel stuff. It looks very cool, super interesting. For an engineer, if I could call myself one, I could geek out over that kind of stuff. I really like it. I want to get more involved with them. We have not reached out to them yet, and we need to. Hopefully, we get some time with those guys and kind of get some more information as well.
Yeah, it'd be awesome. I can make that connection if you want. But I did get to drive that thing after the show, Trey, and it was actually super cool. The first thing that I will tell you, and I'm not the engineer like Justin, but I could have one finger on the steering wheel, and I could probably go through 2-foot whoops. It was amazing. I didn't even have to touch the wheel. It had no feedback. It was pretty cool, the mechanical ability of that system. So again, I'm not the guy to be able to tell you what the engineering portion is. I can only tell you what I felt, and it felt really, really good on the little driving that I did. It would be kind of cool to see those guys and Shock Therapy team up and put some sort of system together. I think it'd be pretty rad.
We're all about it. George, I see somebody that's got, I'm not able to read most of those questions, but I saw one fly by here just a second ago. How fast do we ship shocks back after doing work to them? That's an interesting question. We get it a lot as well. Every single one of our shock jobs or any work done to any UTV is scheduled in advance. It's a scheduled appointment. So you have a specific day, and your work is always done that day. So, for instance, if your scheduled appointment was today and you dropped off your car this morning, you're picking it up this afternoon. We do not keep any vehicles in the shop overnight. If you were mailing your shocks to us, then you would have had to have had your shocks in our shop on Tuesday or Wednesday. We're going to do the work on your scheduled appointment Thursday, and we mail them on Thursday. So it's always done the same day, and that's why we do appointments.
Yeah, and it's really turnaround. Like every time that I've had anybody that was I suggested to go over there, they always got their car early. So let's see here. Dusty Summit, actually, this is a great question. And Justin, I already know the answer to this, but why and how did you start Shock Therapy?
The reason we started the business is because my wife had a terrible accident in a boat and broke her back. And she got a lot of titanium put in it and couldn't ride in UTVs anymore. And this is, when 900s were popular. It was after the 800s, it kind of phased out a bit. And so she couldn't ride in what we had. And so I spent some time on the shocks. I've done a lot of racing for a lot of years, and I know how to work on those. So I pulled them off. It was a set of Walker Evans, modified them 20 times, and made that thing ride so plush that she could get back in the car. So a few friends heard about it. We did those. A few race teams heard about it. We did their pit vehicles. And then the news traveled, and working out of the 3-car garage turned into a 5,000 shop and turned into 38,000 feet today. And it's been a hell of a ride, and I wouldn't change a thing. But that's the reason why we started in it, and it's worked out great.
Yeah, one of the things that I have to say, because what Justin just said, a role model for other businesses, you got to remember that 90% of the success that Justin's had is because of the connections that he's made and the people that he has associated himself with. He's a fantastic person in general. So any type of business that you're wanting to start, even if it's a gardening business, just make sure you have those things in mind.
I'm going to add one more thing to that, George. I failed a lot of times at businesses in my life. And I've always tried to do something that was fun, whether it was race cars or something fast or building race engines, whatever it was. I did a bad job of the business, even though we did a good job building what we did. So those failures have all led to the point where we're at right now, because the experience of those failures are what not to do have kind of come to a head with this business being run right. So it's not because, I have some magical sauce that I was born with. It was through a lot of trial and error and a lot of failure. So don't be afraid if you're out there doing your own thing to screw it up a couple times. You're probably going to learn more with your screw ups than your successes.
Yeah, exactly. Red Jerk Racing said he just did his first desert race with his X3 suspension. It was amazing. Thank you very much for helping him.
Badass. Love.
Let's see. So actually, Chop Jaw, I'll get back to your question, but I got another question for Justin. So I know you've been like slammed for, God, what is it, 6-8 months now. What's been going on at the shop, man? You guys have so much to do with all this new stuff.
Well, not only do we have a ton of new products, because we pretty much put our head down during COVID and tried to really fast track all of the ideas that we had in place that we hadn't had time to test and build. We built a lot of prototypes. We've been testing for months and months and months. And a lot of these things are coming finally down the pike where we can launch them to the public. And some of the stuff I can't really talk about. Some of it I can hint about. We're going to have adjustable bump steer kits for every make and model vehicle. We've got a line of tie rod kits coming out with rack and pinions to go with them for every make and model. Don't have them done yet, but 70% of everything is. And we've got some new electronics and computer based programming that is going to be released soon. When I say soon, I mean months, but not years from now, where you're going to be able to tune your shocks from your phone. So don't call the shop asking about it. No one's going to know about it. No one's going to tell you about it. But that kind of thing is coming.
It's so cool to see that. And to piggyback that, you got to be pretty pumped for your buddy Todd Zacone to be able to come out with his stuff that just dropped lately, man. I was so pumped. I sent him a text message. I'm like, dude, you worked so hard on this. It's awesome.
Yeah, Code Shooter's a badass deal. You guys need to jump on that. And it's just going to get better the more they play with it. Just like any tune for any engine programming, it's just going to get amazing as time goes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just the beginning. I think it's so cool that you're able to do that. I mean, just think how many cool things will happen at the dunes now. People will be like, ooh, I got to turn it up a little bit to beat my buddy.
That's how we've gotten most of our business, keeping up with their friends.
Yeah, the Robbie Gordon of the campsite.
Yeah, well, everybody's Robbie. Just ask him.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we got two things. Chop Jaw just made a comment. He said R squared is the way to go for a build. Mark is building me a new whip, and shock therapy is going on all four corners.
Badass, man. Thanks for jumping on the shock therapy team. We're excited to do any work for you.
Yeah, it'll be awesome to see how that thing turns out, too. Oh, you might know this guy, Tube Sock Steve. It's always better the more you play with it.
That works for just about everything in life.
Yeah, exactly. DC Motorsports, I think you may know who they are, Cadence Cowan and her dad, David.
Yep.
Be sure to mention Shock Therapy doesn't just do shocks. We run their race rack on the race car, has brought home multiple wins and championships. She's a fantastic driver and ambassador.
Thank you very much for mentioning that. We do have a large line of products if you guys haven't checked them out. We're pretty proud of our rack and pinions. We spend a lot of time on those. And irregardless of how you want your shocks to work or how you want your vehicle to ride, because everyone's got their own opinion on what good is and what best is. And we don't, we have no problem with working on other vehicles that have been touched by other guys when it comes to shocks. No problem whatsoever. You know why? Because we've got other products that work great. Thank you very much for mentioning the rack and pinions.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just rack and pinions though. Like the machine shop has been pretty busy. So, for anybody that doesn't know, Justin started his own machine shop the last year and a half, whatever it was. But that machine shop has been really busy, getting everything set up and producing tie rods, sway bar link kits, like all kinds of stuff. So maybe you can brush on some of that.
So the machine shop is partially owned and run by Jason Krause, amazing machinist, very good friends, excellent engineer, and that's a good reason and part of why a lot of our parts are designed right and don't fail. And we and everybody at the shop has been really, really hard at work at controlling the growth or growing correctly through our business. And so we've added a lot of CNC machines to the pack that we already had. And we've added a lot more automation. Some of the cool things that are coming down the pike in the CNC shop are more robots. And I know, George, you've seen one of them. We've got one, a robot that you would see in GM's factory, the same type of thing, doing a ton of work in the CNC shop, polishing radius rods and tie rods so the finish on them is perfect before they go to anodize, which it increases longevity. It's better visually. So when you buy any product from us that's anodized, it's going to be hand buffed by a robot's hand.
Yeah.
We invested in, have two more robots coming down the pike, and they're going to start changing parts out in the CNCs. So radius rods will be swapped out by robots and stacked and inventoried as well. So trying to make the most of the machines that we have and the space that we have, and that's one way we're doing it.
I gotta say, man, like last time you showed me some of the machine, you saw me walk out with the hugest smile on my face. I was like, this is so badass seeing all this stuff. So now hearing that there are going to be more machines makes me want to come to Arizona and check it. I'm gonna wait until after the heat, though.
Yeah, definitely. Luckily, we're air conditioned, so you can come inside anytime. We won't kick you out.
Let's see here. There's a couple questions. So this is going to be a loaded question from Mark. What tires do you prefer?
Well, we've had a long relationship with Method and Tensor. They're both owned by the same parent company. We run Method wheels, we run Tensor tires on both the race car and all of our pre-runners and personal vehicles. We've tried a ton of them because we test everybody's cars. I'm definitely a Tensor fan. We run 33s on the race car, 32s on a lot of the other cars. Both have been amazing. We don't get flats, and they last a long time. So I would go that direction.
Yeah, and I'll have to just fire back and say KMC and EFX are both fantastic partners of the show. So please check out KMC wheels and EFX tires as well. What do you do on the front diff to make it survive?
So we used to blow up a diff every single race until we did a couple of things. One, we machine the pinion bearing, the front pinion bearing out to a larger diameter needle bearing. And we also installed a one-way bearing or a sprag gear in the drive line. So what that does, the pinion bearing is obvious, bigger is better and stronger. But the one-way bearing, all of our diff failures were not because of horsepower. Most of our diff failures are coming in hot into a corner on the brakes and then having the front tires bounce off the braking bumps. That nasty bite is what was taking out all of our diffs. And with a one-way bearing in the driveline, that bite goes away because it's not pushing those forces down the driveline to the engine and clutch. And all of our diff problems went away. So on the X3, I would say a little bit of internal work. Contact Halo Locker can do that for you. RCR might be able to do that for you. And I would look into a one-way bearing, which I know Fortin makes and a couple other guys are working on in the driveline.
So I want to do a little bit more industry insider with you, but we got a couple more questions. So I don't want it to be full Q&A from the audience, but we'll answer some of these here. What is the difference between the IQS versus Smart Shocks on an X3?
So IQS.
Actually, in just the ride, maybe not the technical description.
So there's no difference in ride quality. The IQS is going to adjust it in 3 positions. The Smart Shocks will adjust in 3 positions. Their positions are the same when it comes to oil flow. So if there's no work done to the shock at all, then they're going to work the same. But the difference is really when you modify on the inside of the shock, all the valving pistons and on an X3 would be bypass ports as well. When you modify all that, then you could run either Smart Shock, could still manage the shock the same, or you could run IQS, and it would still give you the options for 3 settings. But what's really amazing is putting IQS on top of Smart Shocks.
Yeah, I heard about that.
And so then you end up with 9 adjustments, or is it 12? My math is bad. But you get a whole lot more adjustments, so the adjustability is amazing. Right, the same, to answer your question.
Okay, cool. Trey, your question is a little vague and a little too deep for us right now. Ryan Bullock said, are you still going to do a Razor Pro specific episode, like dislikes, parts? It sounds like he was talking about maybe when you guys do your live shock therapy. What is it, Tuesdays or Thursdays now?
Yeah, so we're still doing Tuesdays and Thursdays, but we're doing it every 2 weeks instead of every week. And our Tuesday show is usually Tech Tuesday, so something technical or engineering or details on parts. And Thursdays, throw it out there so you guys can ask any question you want and we'll answer it. This next week is going to be a Tuesday Tech episode with the guys from SRP, and they are Tucson-based, which you know very well, right?
Yeah.
And they do specifically brushless electric motor technology. So you can go brushless fans, brushless blowers for clutches or any other fan intercoolers. And brushless technology is badass because you can ramp them up and ramp it down and save electrical energy in a UTV, especially in racing. That's super important. So the technical side of that's going to be Tuesday. And on Thursday, we're going to do reverse, throw it out there Thursday. And if you sign in, we're going to give you big prizes. And I don't mean just swag. And we get to do the questions instead of you asking us.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Mark, I can already answer this question for Justin. Nobody likes loud exhausts. Nobody.
No. I'm going to go one step further. In a race, about an hour in, that exhaust is on the navigator side, and I guarantee you, Jeff or my brother will start to hit because they just want to shoot himself in the face with how loud and nasty a bad exhaust or loud exhaust is going to be a whole race. Forget it.
Yeah, I remember that. And this kind of brings up a good segue for this. I wanted to thank you very much, like I said, for helping us with that RS1 project last year. And one of the first things that you told me, I said, do I need to get an exhaust? Like when we were talking about doing the Evo tune and stuff. And do I need to get an exhaust? He goes, George, do not get an exhaust. Leave it the way it is.
And I love some good exhaust stuff like Evo, and a bunch of guys have really killer systems. But man, for hours and hours and hours floored, quiet's better.
Yeah, exactly. So he said, yeah, thank you very much. Keep telling his kid that the no loud exhaust. Yeah, so I wanted to tell you, I don't know if I was able to relay the information, but that RS1 that you did was a cool project that we worked on together. And you did so much work on that project. I still really appreciate everything that you did. But that vehicle went back to Craig Scanlon's house. Didn't really get touched. Got some new stickers on it. Maybe a couple of clickers adjusted here, a couple clutch adjustments there. And Max Eddy, brand new four-wheel parts Polaris factory driver, went out and placed second in the Sonora Rally in that basically stock car. Didn't even change the zip-tied window nets that we had on there. Just jumped in and ran it.
That goes to show that your prep when you put that thing together was badass. So good job on that one, George. And I'll tell you, I love me an RS1. They're impressive what they'll do.
It was crazy, the conversation that we had. I'm like, dude, I don't know if I want to race it. And you're like, dude, George, you have to try the RS1.
Well, you did a great job with it. I think you probably get one tomorrow if you needed one. That's for sure.
Yeah. Let's see here. And then so the next thing that I was going to dive into was a little less of the of the shock therapy stuff and more of the off-road racing stuff, because that's one of your passions. And you've done pretty well with the new car, but I know that you want to do better with it. When's the next race and what can we expect?
Thank you for pointing out how badly we've done. Appreciate that.
Honestly, but I have some follow-ups because I saw you hauling the mail at Baja, man.
for like 10 minutes until we have a problem, then it's over. But the car's got a great pace. We've tested a lot. We found a couple of things we needed to change that shortened our races. Those are done. Complete rebuild, complete reprep. The whole car's painted now. The frame up is handled and detailed perfectly. It's back on the ground tomorrow. We'll be testing next week. Our next race is Vegas to Reno. Can't wait to run it. We did pretty well in Vegas to Reno 2 years ago until 10 miles from the end when we actually broke a trailing arm on a rock. We were helping a truck tugged out and broke the arm. But before that, we were sixth, and that's pretty good for Vegas to Reno. We were proud of that. So we're hoping to try and repeat at least a top 5 this race. After that, then we've got Laughlin. We have UTV Worlds in Havasu, and then we go Baja 1000, and then back to Parker.
Nice, man. This sounds like a pretty stacked schedule. How do you like the car? Because I've never got to hear you tell me anything about it after you raced it.
Well, I'll give you a hint. The car is 500 pounds lighter than the previous.
Woo! That's insane. It must feel like a completely different machine.
It is 100% completely different. The pace is much higher. We can rail corners. We don't break parts. The other car really was breaking itself apart due to weight, and we just kept putting power to it, kept breaking more stuff. So we're really proud of the car. It's going to show its true pace soon, hopefully this very next race. And as long as I do my job and we don't have any major problems, then we should do really well.
Yeah, it sounds good. I'm looking forward to going up to the races and watching you guys. Being that it was my first time with the logistical portion of going down to Baja, I got to see so many cool things. One of was the best taco shops down there. So what's your favorite taco that you ate at 500?
Well, I'm scared to tell you because then others are going to know, and then they're going to go there, and then we won't be able to get my favorite tacos.
You want to just text me? It's like we'll keep it a secret, like the.
We'll do that, but I'll tell you, it's going to be a toss-up between my favorite outside of Estero Beach or Valley T Tacos. You know what? I don't think Valley T Tacos aren't the best ever, but they're the best when you're pre-running and you really want food, because that's where pretty much.
It's like the only spot down there. So the first rule of the Underground Taco Club in Baja is you don't talk about the Underground Taco Club.
Not talk about the best ones. I'm not going to give it to you.
So John Hubbard said, where did the weight come off? Well, it's a totally different car.
Yeah, it was built by hand from scratch and with weight in mind. The original car had a lot of things added to it to make things better over time, and a lot of extra structure added to it to make it better over time. And when you build one from scratch with strictly weight in mind, it's pretty easy to keep things off of it. It's hard. The easiest way to lose weight is not to bolt anything on the car.
Yep.
And we did a really good job, or at least we think we did a good job of limiting what's actually on the car and only have what we need.
Yeah, well, Steve actually mentioned it was diet. I think he was probably referring to you, but the car went on a massive diet.
Yeah. I actually need to do it. I need to throw some diet in there, Steve. You're not wrong, that's for sure. Racing against guys that weigh 150 pounds, I'm kind of screwed with another 100 on there.
Yeah, these little kids. Well, dude, we just talked about tacos. Maybe we should be talking about salads.
I'm good with salads. I don't know. I can do it. I like food a lot. Well, actually, you know what? I'd rather have beer. How's that? That's my problem.
Pork chop in a can. Hey, so what race are you looking forward to the most the rest of the year?
You know, I love the 1000 because it's in Mexico, and we typically do pretty well in Mexico. We won San Felipe. We had the 500 one if I didn't hit a rock 10 miles from the end. And so I think our pace is pretty good there. Other than that, I love Parker. I mean, we won that race in the rally class this year, and I've got most of the course memorized. I don't really need a GPS for it, and so that helps a lot. I'd love to go back there, run that race again in the race car.
Dude, wouldn't it be nice to just have like 2 or 3 weeks to go down to Mexico before we're so freaking busy?
I wish. Here's the problem, though, is the race course is completely different 2 days before the race when everybody's torn it up versus before. And we've gone down a week early and run the race course and just think it's a piece of cake. And then we get in there the day before the race and it looks like a completely different side of the moon.
Yeah.
So you can't really prep unless it's right beforehand, unfortunately.
Hey, so speaking of that, you guys did, I don't know if it was during the race, but you guys did some camera shots that were pretty cool in the X3, I think the Double X, and I don't know, another vehicle.
Honda.
Yeah, it was through some silt and some ruts, and then the helicopter was following. Did was Chase standing there? Like, did you guys almost kill him? Because it looked like he was getting close.
Well, we didn't do our job correctly because Chase is still alive. But yeah, he was set up on the side of that little area, and that little silty, rutted section had a couple of holes. Really, hit him with the car, it bounced the car towards him, and normally he's pretty cool. He'll stand there within a foot of a race car going by 80 miles an hour. It's one of the first times I've seen him jump out of the way. It was going to be bad.
You got it pretty good. Well, that section actually looked pretty gnarly, dude. It looked like it just upset the car pretty good.
Yeah, it ended up being pretty good. We were the only ones to have gone through it, even though it was near the race course, but because everybody found a way around it. So we went back there to do video specifically after we had pre-run, and we figured everybody would have torn it up and the silt would have been over the hood and over the roof, deep. But when we got there, we're the only ones to tear it up, so it wasn't that impressive, but it worked out pretty good. It was fun.
There are still some super cool videos. Actually, Josh just logged in right now, and so I think he was part of that little video segment. So it was cool that you guys got that. It's fantastic content to be able to watch. It takes me back, right? Like I went and pre-ran the course, and I was like, dude, now I already want to go back, man.
Yeah, we don't ever get time just to do video when we're down there. We're so busy between pre-running and getting ready for the race, but this time we actually threw an extra day in the schedule. We went down a little early, and we specifically set aside Thursday just to do video. And so we got some pretty good stuff. And we have a lot more video that you haven't seen.
Yes.
And it's really, really neat where we're on the West Coast, helicopters on the water, and there's a cliff, and the race car and pre-runners are all on the cliff going through the whoops, and the helicopter is dead level with them.
Nice.
Like 20 feet off. You're going to see some pretty cool stuff.
Dude, Dom was just freaking cutting it with the helicopter, huh?
Yeah, he's on a mission, and he kills it every time.
That is so cool. All right, so we're going to end this right now, but I miss everybody so much at the shop. I just want to talk about how good everybody is at the shop. So has anything fun happened with the cool work environment that you guys have in the last couple of weeks?
Well, I think I mentioned we're up to 60 people. And with that many people, we all like to celebrate everybody's birthday with at least, one lunch.
Yep.
Everybody together in shop and throw down either some burritos or tacos or pizza or whatever it is and try and celebrate. But now with 60 people, it seems like there's a birthday or two every single week. So we had to combine it where everybody who's got their birthday that month, we just do it once a week.
Nice.
Yeah. But
that's a lot of mouths to feed, though.
Yeah, well, it's a lot of pizzas, that's for sure. But it's well worth it because the crew is really the lifeblood of the business. And without all of them busting ass every single day for our customers, we would have nothing. And we owe everything to the crew that we have. And you've met them, and they're all bad. There's not a bad apple in the bunch. They're all bitching.
Yeah.
And so actually, cheers. Cheers to everybody at the shop.
Yeah, cheers. Well, all right. Well, thank you very much, Justin. I appreciate it. You got your shock therapy koozie like everybody else does. Appreciate it.
George?
Oh, look at that. Remember that car?
Yeah.
That cool guy.
I'm actually at home right now, and I have this picture at my house because this is George racing short course in his Yamaha and sent us a thank you picture from way back in the day when we first met and we were doing your shock stuff for short course.
Man, that was super cool. Thanks to Eric Minks for getting that picture, too. That was just a fun time. I remember that race vividly, actually, because we all ended up doing pretty well in their Yamahas. I think I came from like 20th or something all the way up to second. We almost had the lead at the end. It was cool.
Badass, man. I figured you like that throwback. Thanks for having me on. Also, always a good time when we hang out on the phone here, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I can't wait to see you guys at the shop. I'm probably come by, but after it's a little bit cooler out, dude.
Right on, man. See you soon.
Thank you, Justin. Appreciate it. Later. Man, how cool is that? We'll wait for Justin to log off, but we're going to finalize everything. It's so cool to see such a rad industry person have such a great attitude, not only in racing and the other stuff that he does, but just towards people in general. I mean, he answered all your guys' questions as much as we could and helped out with all of the stuff that he's got going at the shop. You know, obviously his employees are fantastic as well. So it's cool to have this little industry insider and be able to hang out with Justin and take the time away while he's at his house. So We love you guys so much. We will see you guys on Monday. We have a show at Four Wheel Parts with Polaris Razor, Four Wheel Parts youth athlete Travis Lee, and our buddy Jesse Nelson is going to be coming in and hanging out and co-hosting with me. So join us on Monday. We'll have a great time at Four Wheel Parts. It's in Riverside, so it'll be a really good show. So we will see you then. And I don't know if I got your question, Jonah, but hey, man. Next time we have an Instagram live, feel free to ask a question. So, all right, guys, thank you very much. We will see you later. Thanks, PRP, for the backdrop.